Right, you ready?
Yeah, every time it's been too long.
Got a big update, I guess. Let's start from way back in Lake Placid, since that was your first Ironman and we never did an update video after Lake Placid.
Okay.
So let's talk about your experience in your first Ironman and how you felt about it and how you thought it went.
Real thoughts were, I'm not sure if Ironman's for me. I did kind of have a cry afterwards and say to you, like, I'm really not sure if I want to do Kona.
What were some of the things you thought maybe expectation didn't align with performance, and mentally, what did you come out of it thinking, I want to change for next time?
I thought I would just naturally be more suited to it than I actually was. And I guess it was my first one, but I'm like super hard on myself, I guess. It just really highlighted the mental aspect of, like, if you are having a negative, if you're like in a negative space, then that's a really long time to be in it, and like you need to be able to turn it around instead of just like dwelling on it. And I like really just dwelled in it, and it was like kind of emotionally painful.
So after Lake Placid, a little bit of hesitancy around maybe wanting to go back to Kona, do another full, but as we started to think about how to prep for Kona and what we wanted to do around training and some of the pieces we wanted to put together to help prepare you for Kona, what were the biggest things we implemented for Kona prep?
Like heat training was a big thing.
Which is why, what did you do specifically in heat training?
So we have a greenhouse set up in our garage over our treadmill and trainer set up. So I'd just be doing kind of like hour and a half rides mainly, because it was like easier to do riding. Running was a bit harder because I felt like, especially with the greenhouse setup and overdressing or whatever, that you're like, your core temperature is rising so rapidly that almost the core sensors may have a bit of a lag in it, because we were actually backing up, validating against like actual core temperature.
Yeah, so the protocol we were using is probably 5 sessions a week, about an hour of heat, and we'd always do that end of day. Usually just an easy session, there's never any intervals in there, just to really prep for the heat in Kona. One of the other big things we wanted to kind of validate was your shoe choice for Kona.
Yeah.
So you've been running primarily in the Alpha Fly 3s, I think they are.
Yeah.
One of the questions you had was, is it the best shoe for you, and should we potentially look at something else? So we contacted Stryd. You've been using Stryds forever.
Yeah, forever, and like I stopped maybe a few years ago when, one of the pods I lost or something, but then restarted, like really just like making sure we're always using it after I broke my sacrum, because like, to track any asymmetries and stuff, which we've talked about before. But then, I was keen to test some shoes.
Yeah, and with Stryd being here in Boulder, it's a great opportunity for us. They've got a lab in their office, so they could do shoe testing to validate which shoe is the fastest for Holly specifically. So you had two different pairs of shoes, or three? Two shoes?
Two shoes. Because we actually did a track session maybe a couple weeks before with 3 pairs of shoes, and then I narrowed it down to the 2 pairs of shoes I wanted to test. But I mean, I pretty much like came in thinking that I know the Alpha Flies is still going to be fastest for me. Like, you just kind of go off your feeling. I'm like, the Asics feel really comfortable, so I just presumed that would probably slower. And it's like hard to really tell on a track when you're like trying to hit the same paces, and then you might be like petering out at the end. So I was like pretty sure I knew the Alpha Flies were going to be faster. So then I wanted to test to see, which was actually a good thing we did.
Yeah, and the protocol for testing with Stryd is you do an indoor test on the treadmill, swap between both shoes. We did it at goal marathon pace. We were testing it more like Ironman speed instead of 70.3 speed. And we swapped back. You did multiple reps between the Alpha Fly and the Asics, and then we went outside and compared data as well in the real world from the indoor treadmill to outdoor running, and They wrote up a summary kind of comparing the two shoes and gave us a recommendation. Ultimately, obviously, we choose which shoe we want to race in, where we're comfortable, but the summary was the Asics is slightly better metabolically, equating to around 1.5 minutes savings over the Nike across a marathon, slightly better VO2, lactate, and running economy. The Asics is more stable, so also better for performance long-term in a marathon, less degradation across the back end of a marathon. According to their footpath data, the Nike seems to take a little more load than the left. So this is where the Stryd came in and gave us really good data with how the feet were actually moving, ground contact time, and where the load and leg stiffness was coming from. And you're getting a little bit more of an imbalance on the Nike compared to the Asics, which again, over time would help think you'd maybe fall off less in the back half.
And maybe like injury wise or whatever, like if you have any asymmetries, if it's like making that worse or making it better. Once I had that data to back it up and it's like, oh, it's more comfortable, that was like an easy decision, even though it was like, you know, relatively short time before Kona, but I felt really comfortable. You did, making that decision to race in those.
All right, so the big one, Kona. Let's first talk about the decision to come in on a Wednesday and race on Saturday. I know people were questioning that, asking what's she doing, is she racing, what's going on? What was the reasoning behind us deciding to go in on a Wednesday and race on a Saturday?
Initially, when we moved here, we tried racing at 5 days or something after dropping down, and I typically felt that, and the standard thinking is to race within 3 days or after 10 days of coming down from altitude. And some people aren't affected by it. I feel like I am. We didn't want to go for 10 days, 2 weeks, because I just didn't want to get burnt out by the place. I didn't want to be over it by the time race day came. So we decided to come in 3 days before, which is pretty late for Kona because there's tons happening race week. There's loads of commitments. I did kind of like that everyone thought I was potentially not racing. I just kind of, came in last minute, avoided a lot of craziness there. So yeah, I felt good about that decision.
And part of the decision to come in that late was backed up by, we did a test run 3 weeks before. So we booked the same flight, traveled into Kona, did a race simulation on the same day, made sure you felt fine after travel, did the workouts you wanted to do, made the trip over as efficient as possible the second time. But then the race simulation, long training day on Saturday went really well. And it was also a chance for us to test, is the heat protocol working? Are you handling the heat in Kona well with what we're doing? So after that trip, we were pretty confident that we could make the next trip into racing more efficient. Once we landed, we had a plan basically from once we landed, what we were going to do, where we were going to get food, all the way up to the race, and it was pretty seamless at that point. So it was nice to have that run and test and give us confidence. Now let's move into the race. So first of all, going in, what was your expectation of what you wanted to accomplish on race day?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any firm expectations. After Placid, I felt like that was my biggest downfall, was having expectations that I could either meet or fall off and be really affected by it. So it was more of I wanted to have a good day for myself, not so much of I want to be, it was more how I'm going to deal with everything. Am I just going to dwell in it, or am I going to move on? I'm I have to enjoy when things are going smoothly, but also know that when you're having a tough time, that it will pass. And I think that's something I didn't really believe in Placid, when it felt really bad, but then you do get through it. And I think the more you judge yourself and have a pity party, the longer you're sucked into that. And so it was more having and I hate the kind of term, but having a good mental day of just being engaged and happy to be there. I've this was my whole year kind of set up around here, and now actually enjoying it, which I know people say and not really actually get to do. And that was even going into it, that I was I want to make the most of like everyone I see out there. I want I want to feel like the energy from that instead of like being embarrassed if it's not going the way that I wanted to, which was just like a big shift. And I feel like I actually did a good job with that.
So let's start in the swim. What was your plan going to the swim, and how did the swim feel?
My plan was to just like swim within myself, but like hard. Like I didn't want to be like blown myself up by the swim. I wanted to just try and have a good start, which I try to start near Lucy because she's just gonna get away super fast, but then hopefully there's like no fighting. You're just gonna kind of be like swept out a bit, and like so it was Lucy, Taylor, me. They had a like crazy fast start. Taylor got kind of distanced a bit, and then she came back to me, and then she kind of sat behind me for a bit, and we were just kind of like trucking along, and I was like, this is great, I feel good. Probably like halfway, I don't know when it was, like then Haley Chura, like on the way out, Haley Chura pulled around me, and then I just sat on her, and it just felt super easy. There were times that I'm like, is this feeling too easy? Shall I pull around? But I thought, this is a long day. I'm either going to be just in front of this. Yeah, I might try and, pull a bit more effort or whatever. But like, yeah, that was just the decision I made to stay in, feel good about it, whether there's too many people or what with us. There were quite a few people that I probably didn't expect. I think I was like in second-ish coming out of T1. And yeah, I mean, just at that point, I was just kind of locked into my own race, knowing that like some people could start out super hard, some people, whatever. It's not like I'm not focusing on other people right now. I'm just like trying to work my way through all the technical section, just get into it.
So Taylor goes by, and then your thought is still just ride your own race, set your own tempo, and be more conservative in the
I
first
definitely wasn't worried when Taylor blew past. I thought, yeah, she's gonna hammer the first part. Yeah, it didn't bother me at all when she kind of went past. And then I did blow past. The first aid station was at 10 miles, and I kind of blew past, didn't get any water, and that was like my wake up call, being like, okay, Holly, every aid station from now on, you're like, even if you have to come to a standstill, you can't treat it like a T100 where you're just like not going to adjust your speed. So that really changed.
Yeah, part of the big plan on the bike was just make sure you're on top of fueling nutrition and hydration across the entire bike course, because I mean, we knew like if you miss bottles or come in dehydrated, that you could theoretically lose 30 minutes on the run versus slowing a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe end of the day, if you lost 90 seconds from stopping at 8 stations and personal needs, that 90 seconds is well worth it if you're in a good spot starting the run and not blowing up in the run. So generally it was more just ride your own race. Don't worry about other people. Work with packs if they're there, but if not, like just keep a steady tempo.
Yeah. And it was almost harder when packs come, because then you get caught into like riding their momentum instead of yours. So I actually did find that hard. I mean, there was a lot more company than Placid, so there was a lot more changes and like that stuff to like emotionally deal with. Like you feel good. I like India Lee was like riding with me. Solveig went past. Like I felt good, so I like went, like didn't see them behind me. So you're like, you manage to like, when you're feeling good, like put in a lot of time. And then I stopped at personal needs at the turnaround, and I did lose a bit of time there. And then I kind of had a lull moment like on the way down, and then India like went past me, and I think, okay, great, I'll like tuck in, and she was just gone. So it's like things like that. You're just like, she could be feeling really good in one moment. I was feeling really good before. So it's like, I think knowing that they're not going to align when like,
there's just so much ebbs and flow.
Oh God, yeah.
Energy, feeling, different sections of the course where you may feel good, like faster on the downhills or the uphills or whatever, vice versa. So you roll into T2, and I think you're 12th or 13th coming in. Going out onto the run, what's your mindset starting the marathon? probably the hottest part of the day in Kona.
I knew how like long that run's gonna feel. Like even just the 8 miles through town, like you'll feel really good because there's tons of people around, like you've just come off the bike, but then like it's gonna get really lonely out there. So I was just trying to like be really like calm every time like I saw my watch and I'm like going a bit too hot, just like slow down, like I don't need to be running 6:30 pace or 6:20, you know, things that I see that I'm just like no, like whereas before I'd be like, oh sure, if this feels easy that's fine. I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna be able to run that. Like it's more just like conserve because like you don't know when it's gonna suddenly creep up to you.
And then just even spectating, standing in town, there was no wind in Kona, so it had rained in the morning, it was hot, the sun was out, it was all the factors that made it extremely hot in town in Kona. So I think when I saw you, the biggest thing was like just be patient, stick to don't even worry about paces, just stick to your internal effort of what feels right and don't press it, because you're already in 12th or 13th. There were 2 women ahead of you that I think you passed within the first mile.
Yeah,
so
which I almost wish I had that like a bit later on, because it was like felt really good to be passing people, and then like obviously things just like space out, and it would have been so much nicer to have more carrots. So I
think by the time you're leaving to go up Palani, you're already at
Palani, you feel so slow. It's like such a hill, and like everyone's there, and then you're just like mincing up this really.
At least I was thinking, oh well, this top 10 is
which I wanted to run together.
A loose expectation, like kind of a loose goal. Like if we have a good day, top 10 is a good spot for us. I think you got into 9th by mile 8, and then you and Marta were pretty close. And then do you want to kind of walk through what your experience was from going out into the aid station and then all the way back to the finish? Like what were you thinking? How were you feeling?
Which aid station?
Down into Energy Lab, like
up
to the aid stations, into the Energy Lab, down, back out, and to the finish.
Well, I had a bit of a panic actually before I got to the Energy Lab, because it's just like such like long rolling sections that like you think, oh, where those palm trees are up ahead, that's where the Energy Lab, we cut left in. And then you'll like get there and it's nowhere to be seen. You're like, oh no, it's like, it's always way further than you think. And it's just like, it's like running on a motorway or like a freeway, a highway, or whatever you call it. So that's like pretty lonely. And it's like, I had a bit of a like freak out at like, it's surely like mile 12 or 13 that you're like, oh my God, I'm not even halfway. Like, how am I going to do that? And I think now I just know that you're always going to have a little bit of a freak out, or I will at some point in it, and just don't judge it. Just, you know that it's going to be over. And then as soon as we did get into the Energy Lab and you have the like slight downhill, like I really felt good. Whereas like a lot of people say they don't feel good during the Energy Lab, but like whole part of the Energy Lab out and back, I really loved.
So going in the Energy Lab, I think you're in 9th, and your Marta was just ahead of you.
And then I saw everyone basically, because I saw Taylor.
You'd go. It's an out and back. The one out and back still on the course.
A decent length, so you actually see everyone. You see all the time gaps, and I could also see that there was no one behind me. That was like a threat. Like no one was running super fast, and they were like, I don't know, a mile. Like it was
pretty set in position as long as there weren't any blow-ups. And right going into Energy Lab, Marta dropped, so you're firmly in 8th, and that's...
I didn't know she dropped though. I just thought
You saw her stop though, and then...
Yeah, but I just thought I passed it, because it was at the aid station, so I just thought she was slowing down to get water.
So then going in the Energy Lab, you're firmly in 8th, no one's coming from behind. Yeah. You're kind of running similar paces to everyone in front. They're pretty big gaps, 2 minutes, 3 minute gaps. Yeah. So it's kind of like you're going to be 8th as long as you stay steady.
I think people in there try and motivate you, being like, oh, they're not looking so good up ahead. You're looking great. And you're like, I wish I could see them when you're on you straight away. But so that was like hard, knowing that like I probably couldn't catch anyone at that point. Yeah.
With like at mile 15, it's like the race is kind of set as long as nothing serious happens to you.
Which I thought, oh, I'm in top 10. This is great. I just need to like really look after myself, make sure I don't like implode.
So, I mean, we all know the drama. First Lucy, then Taylor, and then you come into town. Did you even know you were in 6th?
Yeah. Vestaby told me while I was coming down Palani, being like, with her fingers up, like, you're in 6th. And I was like, what? Because I did think, I don't know where Lucy is, when I saw Taylor, like, at the corner of the Energy Lab, like, once you've already done that, like, parallel bit towards the Queen K. And I was like, where's Lucy? Like, how did I miss her? But then didn't think anything more of it. Thought, oh, I must have just, like, not seen her somehow. And yeah, it never did occur to me that one or two of them would DNF, especially like leading the race, like, yeah, insane. And I like, afterwards I was like, God, I wish I saw that. I wish I like, you know, I'll have to go back and watch it because that's insane. But that's always the drama that you've seen in Kona.
So you roll into town, finish 6th.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Looked pretty emotional at the finish line. What were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think since Placid, like, I really struggled in training post Placid. Like, everything kind of leading up to Placid, bar like 3 weeks before, maybe 2 weeks before, I like got into a bit of a fatigue. And then I just like really never came around after Placid. Tried to do London, DNF'd. I was just like absolutely whacked. But then just never really found my groove again, to the point that it was more just like, I can't control, like, I've done the best I can getting into this, getting here. And you also know, you don't know how everyone else's build has gone. You just, everyone's normally dealing with stuff. So it was me just like, this is the best outcome of this. I think going in, or like, first of all, trying to do Kona, I think I would have, you know, wanted top 5, but like after everything, achieving that, you know, had a sacral stress fracture around January time this year, and everything that's kind of gone into it, I'm like, yeah, I'm happy with that.
I think as best as we expected. I don't think we expected to finish that high, and extremely happy with just the race you put together. Really solid across all 3, no blow ups, race smart, like executed your plan perfectly. There's not much more you could do. And I think on your debut, given the year we've had, 1 year back from birth and the sacral stress fracture, it's just, I think starting the year, if you said you'd get 6th at Kona, you'd be super happy with that. So I think in general, like, obviously you always want more as a professional and want to tweak things going forward, but it's, I mean, as happy as we could be leaving Kona. So year's not done. We got 2 more races. What's the plan?
So we're going to Dubai, T100, and then Qatar, which are like 4 weeks apart, which is kind of hard. So we are going to Girona in between. I've always wanted to go, never been, so that'll be fun. Not the best time weather-wise to go, but and then Christmas back in the UK.
Yep, finally a break mid-December from racing this year, and
2 weeks of nothing.
And think about what we do for next year.
We know it involves Kona.
It will involve Kona again, but we'll leave the rest to how we feel post Dubai and Qatar. But I know it's a long update. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Yeah.
Following along. We will.
I thought you were going to do like, bye for now. Like.
Until next time, we'll try to get some video updates across Dubai and Qatar.
Yeah.
It'll be our first time going out to Qatar, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Your first time to the Middle East.
First time to the Middle East.
Yeah.
I've done a layover there, but
that doesn't count.
Never been out of the airport. So.
Sean counts layovers when he's like seen a place. No.
All right. See you next time.